Hey everyone. So I started doing this video series on a book that I've been reading recently called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And it's this awesome book. No, it's not a book that you should read if you don't have any friends, although it might help. At least that's what my wife used to tell me. Oh, you're reading it because you don't have any friends? But it's a book about the science and art of human relations. And as I've been going through this, I've been inspired to want to do a series, and so I've been doing it chapter by chapter, showing the lessons that I've personally learned in it. Now, the first section talks about the fundamental techniques in handling people. The first chapter that we covered was don't criticize, complain, or condemn. The second chapter talks about giving sincere and honest appreciation. And this third chapter is arousing in the other person an eager want. Now, that's the key word in this one. I want to say that again. Arousing in the other person an eager want. A great quote by Henry Ford is, "If there is any one secret of success, it lies in the ability to get the other person's point of view and see things from their angle as well as your own." So the whole point of this chapter talks about getting people to do things and getting them to want to do them. So think about this for a second. Something that remains to be a fact is no person, for any reason, under any circumstance, will ever do something that they do not want to do. Now think about what this means. This doesn't mean that you can't coax someone into doing something, or you can't threaten with force, or if you're a boss or a manager, hold their job over their head saying that if you want to keep your job, you better do this. Well, guess what? You're going to arouse the want in that person to do something. However, the consequence and repercussions are not necessarily going to be a positive outcome. What this is talking about is getting somebody to have that eager want, which is why that's the key word, the genuine want to do something. An example that I like to use that helps to illustrate this point is a little bit extreme, but I'm going to use it anyway. If you're a parent, you can relate to this. And if you haven't gone through this as a parent, you're a new parent, you're going to relate to it. And I'm going to talk about potty training. So if you've ever tried to potty train a toddler, it is no easy task. And if there's something that I've learned, and this holds true not only for toddlers, but for people as well, is one toddler may want one thing, and another toddler wants another thing. And something to take this even a step further, just because a toddler wants something in a moment in time, doesn't mean that 30 seconds from now, they're going to continue to want the same thing. So we have 4 boys, 3 of which are potty trained. The third is in the process of finalizing that potty training. We're about to have potty training graduation very soon. But there's something that I learned through the process of each one of these. 1, patience is unbelievably important. And number 2, the toddler couldn't care less about the fact that I want them to be potty trained. They don't care. It makes no difference to them whatsoever that I or my wife want them to be potty trained. All they know is that they have a want, and if I'm not getting them to realize that, or if they don't see that I recognize their want, it's never going to work. And so it was really interesting going through this process for all 3 of our children, because all 3 of them have had totally different results and approaches to the situation. Our first child, our eldest, Kevin, we used to call a closet pooper. And you can probably figure out why. All of a sudden he would just disappear, and you could figure out that if he just disappeared without saying anything, he was probably off pooping somewhere. And it was a challenge, and we couldn't figure out what it was that he wanted in order to get him to become potty trained. Well, I'll never forget it. On his 4th birthday, my mother, his grandmother, walked into the kitchen, looked him square into the eye, and says, "Kevin, you're a big boy now. You're 4 years old. Stop pooping in your pants." And it's almost comical, but it was like she had some sort of magic wand, and a switch flipped just like that. From that day forward, he never had an accident ever again. So what was his want? Well, at the time, I can only speculate. He didn't want to disappoint his grandma. He wanted to acknowledge the fact and live up to the fact that he was a big boy. And in order to be a big boy, he had to stop pooping in his pants. Pretty simple, right? Our next oldest son was potty trained by the time he was 2 years old. And what was really interesting about it is I almost had to do nothing. He just decided one day that he was going to be potty trained. "Dad, I got to go potty." Okay. You can imagine somebody who's 2 years old, a toddler, coming up to you and just saying, "Daddy, I got to go potty." I didn't expect it, but of course I embraced it because I wanted him to be out of diapers as quickly as possible. But that was the only problem that I ever had to worry about was whether or not I knew where a bathroom was and I could get him there quick enough. But he, Liam is his name, genuinely wanted to be potty trained. He wanted to do it on his own, and he wanted to do it quickly. And that was something that I had to learn to embrace. Our third, and what has probably been our most challenging circumstance, which we're in the process of, like I said, graduating at this moment, I'll tell you, Carrie, my wife, and I couldn't figure out what he wanted to save our life. He knew that we wanted him to be potty trained, but he didn't care. Well, there was this significant change in this monumental moment in potty training history that we found. My wife accidentally ordered a set of action figures. So she likes to do shopping from Amazon, and one day placed an order for something, but forgot that she had put this action figure set in the shopping cart, which she had intended to delete, and didn't, so it just showed up at her house, and it was like 30 little miniature action figures of Super Mario Brothers characters. And we didn't really know what to do with them at the time, and the kids, of course, they saw them and they all wanted to play with them. They're like, well, no, you're not just going to get these, we're not going to give them to you for no reason. And our toddler that we're potty training right now loves Super Mario Bros. Absolutely loves it. He loves watching it, he loves playing it, he loves having Super Mario Brothers underwear, he loves anything and everything to do with Super Mario Brothers. So of course when he saw this, he was, Daddy, I want those, Daddy, I want those. And we said, well, no, you can't just have them. And my wife and I look at each other and we're like, well, maybe that's it. Why don't we try using that for potty training? And so we discovered, we had a conversation with them, and trying to sit down and have a logical conversation with a 4-year-old can be rather interesting. But we sat down with them and we said, Isaiah, do you want these action figures? Do you want these toys, the Mario toys? Yeah, Daddy, I want those. I said, do you know what you have to do for those? No, Daddy, what do I have to do? I said, Isaiah, if you want these action figures or you want these toys, you have to go poopy on the potty like a big boy, because we're not going to give these to somebody who's not going to be a big boy. And we told him, we said, Isaiah, you get to pick them out. So when you go poopy on the potty, you get to pick out which toy you want. And within minutes, he was running to the toilet really quickly and saying, Daddy, I gotta go poopy, I gotta go poopy. And there's this kind of process of, I'm gonna try. And eventually he got it. And we were so excited, we celebrated, we jumped up and down, and yay, oh my goodness, good job, Isaiah, way to go, I'm so proud of you, let's go pick out your toy. And he was so funny about it. He goes, okay, let's go get my toy. And so we go get it and let him pick it out. And the excitement of him being able to pick that out. And then we found that the anticipation of the next one was that bait and hook. When we said, okay, what's the next one that you want? And so he would point at it, and at first thinking he could just take it. I said, no, you have to go poopy on the potty. The next time you go, you can pick out the toy. And within a very short period of time, and I'm talking a couple of days, all of a sudden he was going regularly, and it got to a point where I no longer had to ask him if he had to go poopy. He is now saying, Daddy, I gotta go, and then he just goes. And there's been a few times where he's come out of the bathroom, kicking down the door and bursting into the room with this massive amount of excitement, going, Daddy, I pooped! But it was really cool to see that we had aroused that eager want in him to do this. So how do you apply that to everyday life? And the fact remains that the concept, well, that was illustrating with a toddler, is going to translate to every single person that you interact with. I said in an earlier video, people are inherently selfish. And it's not something that is ever intended to be a bad thing. It's just, it goes back to the point of nobody will ever do anything unless if they want to do it or they want to get something in return for it. Now, it doesn't mean that you're always wanting to get something just for yourself or to gloat or to have pride or money or recognition. But it might be that feeling of, you know what, I did a good deed for somebody. I'm going to do this selfless act because I want to feel good about myself for doing it. Or I want to have the joy in seeing how this helped or impacted another person. So what I would challenge you to do as you're going through your day, as you're going through your week, your month, your year, your life, think about the advantage that you can have as an individual by being that selfless person who recognizes how to put the needs and the wants of others before your own in order to get them to lead and to follow your example. I'd like to close by just sharing a quote that's at the beginning of this chapter that sums it up perfectly. He who can do this has the whole world with him, and he who cannot walks a lonely way.